Welcome back to the channel, Wastelanders. Today we're diving into one of the darkest what-ifs in Fallout history. We're exploring what would happen if Vault-Tec's twisted experiments actually succeeded, creating the perfect societies they planned, and how these successes would transform the Wasteland into something far worse than nuclear devastation. Imagine a world where Vault-Tec didn't fail, where every cruel experiment worked exactly as intended, creating perfect soldiers, hive minds, and biological computers made from children. This isn't about bunkers that saved people. This is about a company that destroyed the world to rebuild it in their own twisted image, and the horrifying testimony of someone who discovered their success too late. What if the real horror wasn't the bombs, but what came crawling out of the vaults afterward? And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if it truly resonates with you. I need to tell you something before they find me, before the perfect ones realize I know their secret. My name doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that you understand what really happened, what Vault-Tec actually achieved. Everyone thinks the vaults failed. They think the experiments went wrong. That's what I thought too until I saw them, until I saw what crawled out of those vaults when the experiments worked exactly as planned. I was a scavenger, just another wastelander picking through the ruins, trying to survive. That was before I found the terminal in Vault-Tec headquarters, the one they forgot to wipe, the one that showed the truth about Project Safehouse. You need to understand something first. Vault-Tec never intended to save anyone. The vaults were laboratories, each one designed to create something specific, something they could use to rebuild the world in their image. And some of them, God help us, some of them worked. The first time I saw them was outside Vault 101, you know the one. Total isolation for 200 years. No contact with the outside world, no new genetic material, just the same families breeding, generation after generation, becoming more and more insular, more and more pure. They came out 3 months ago, all of them, every single resident. They moved like a single organism, perfect synchronization. No wasted movement, no hesitation. They didn't speak to outsiders. They didn't need to. They communicated through looks, through subtle movements that only they understood. 2 centuries of isolation had created something new, something that wasn't quite human anymore. I watched them clear out a raider camp. 20 raiders, armed to the teeth. The Vault 101 dwellers didn't use weapons. They surrounded the camp in perfect silence. Then they started humming, all of them, the exact same note, the exact same pitch. The raiders started screaming. Blood poured from their ears. Their eyes. When the humming stopped, the raiders were dead. Every single one. The dwellers collected the bodies, organized them by height, by weight, by genetic markers I couldn't even see. Then they burned them, all while moving in that horrible synchronization. Like watching ants, like watching something pretending to be human. But Vault 101 was just the beginning. Vault 108 was worse. The Gary Vault. Everyone knows the story. Cloning experiment gone wrong. A vault full of men named Gary, all clones, all insane, except they weren't insane. That was the point. That was the success. Think about it. Perfect cloning, perfect replication. No genetic drift, no mutations, just endless copies of the ideal specimen. Gary wasn't random. He was selected, chosen for specific traits: aggression, loyalty, obedience to the collective. They weren't supposed to maintain individuality. They were supposed to become something else. I met them 2 weeks after Vault 101. Hundreds of Garys, moving across the wasteland like a plague. But these weren't the shambling, laughing madmen from the old stories. These Garys had evolved. 200 years of cloning had refined them, perfected them. They didn't laugh anymore. They didn't need to speak. They were a hive mind, a single consciousness spread across hundreds of bodies. They took Springfield. The whole settlement, 300 people lived there, families, children. The Garys didn't kill them. That would have been merciful. They converted them, injected them with something, changed them. Within hours, everyone in Springfield had the same face, the same voice, the same thoughts. They became Gary. I ran. What else could I do? But I kept finding more vaults. More successes: Vault 92, the music vault, white noise experiments, subliminal messaging through sound. They created soldiers who could hear heartbeats from a mile away, who could kill with a whisper, who could drive entire settlements mad with a single note. The Enclave found them first, recruited them, used them to clear out anyone who opposed them. You can still hear them sometimes, in the wind, that faint melody that makes your teeth ache. That makes you want to tear your own ears off. They're hunting, always hunting, looking for more subjects for their symphony of screams. Vault 11, the Sacrifice Vault. where they had to elect someone to die every year, or everyone would die, except the final message, the one that said they passed the test by refusing to sacrifice anyone. That was a lie. The real test was to see who would take control, who would become the executioner, who would embrace the power of choosing who lives and dies. They created a cult, a religion built around death, around sacrifice. The chosen ones, they call themselves. They spread across the Mojave, converting settlements, teaching them the beauty of the sacrifice, the necessity of death. Every settlement they touch starts the lottery, starts choosing who dies. And the survivors thank them for it, thank them for showing them the truth. What do you think really happened here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to know if I'm the only one who feels this way. But here's what terrifies me most. These successful vaults, they're not operating independently. They're coordinating. Vault-Tec is still out there, still watching, still collecting data. They're using these successes to build something worse than anything we've seen. I found references to a master vault, Vault Zero, where Vault-Tec's board of directors went, where they've been monitoring every experiment, every success, every failure, learning, adapting, preparing. They're building an army, not of soldiers, not of weapons, of perfect societies. Each vault's success becomes a template, a blueprint for conversion. They're going to remake the entire Wasteland, turn every survivor into part of their grand experiment. The Enclave thinks they're in control. The Brotherhood thinks they're protecting technology. The NCR thinks they're rebuilding democracy. They're all wrong. They're all just subjects in a larger experiment. Vault-Tec won. They won before the bombs even fell. I've seen their scouts. Perfect beings from successful vaults, moving through settlements, taking notes, measuring, calculating, deciding which template to apply, which experiment to replicate. Some places become Garys. Some join the chosen ones. Some start hearing the music. The worst part is how grateful people are at first. When Vault 101's dwellers arrive, they bring order. Perfect synchronized order. No more raiders, no more chaos, just harmony. Until you realize the harmony means giving up everything that makes you human. Your thoughts, your choices, your individuality, they're coming for everyone. Every settlement, every survivor. And the scariest part of me wonders if they're right. Part of me looks at the wasteland, at the chaos, at the violence, and thinks maybe Vault-Tec's vision is better. Maybe being converted, being perfected, is better than this constant struggle. That thought terrifies me more than anything else. Because I know it's not my thought, it's theirs. They're already in my head. The music, the synchronization, the collective, I can feel it pulling at me. I tried to resist it at first, covered my ears when the wind carried that melody, avoided looking directly at the synchronized movements of the 101 dwellers. But resistance only makes it worse, makes you notice it more, makes you realize how deep the infection goes. I need to tell you about the others, the vaults you haven't heard about, the ones Vault-Tec kept truly secret. Vault 27 was deliberately overpopulated. 2,000 people crammed into a space meant for 200. No privacy, no personal space, constant physical contact. They thought it would drive people insane. Instead, it created something beautiful. Terrible, but beautiful. The pressure, the closeness, it broke down individual boundaries. After 50 years, they stopped being separate people. They became a single organism, a mass of flesh and consciousness that moved through the vault like water. When they finally opened the door, what came out wasn't human anymore. It was a river of bodies, all connected, all sharing the same thoughts, the same hunger. It consumed everything it touched. Raiders, Brahmin, entire settlements, not eating them, absorbing them, adding them to the mass. Growing larger, smarter, more perfect with each addition. The Brotherhood tried to stop it with fire. The mass just split apart, became smaller rivers, each one seeking new flesh to add to the collective. I saw it take Riverside. The entire settlement just walked into it. No screaming, no running. They walked in smiling, arms open like they were coming home, like they wanted to be absorbed. Maybe they did. Maybe the mass called to them the way the music calls to me now. Vault 42 had no entertainment except for one light that was too bright. Sensory deprivation, they called it. Create madness through boredom, but madness wasn't the result. Focus was, absolute perfect focus. The residents learned to see everything, process everything. Their minds became computers, calculating every possible outcome of every possible action. When they emerged, they could predict the future. Not through magic, through pure calculation. They could see the patterns in everything. The way a raider would move before he moved. The way a settlement would fall before it fell. They became Vault-Tec strategists, planning the conversion of the Wasteland down to the smallest detail. They're the ones who told Vault-Tec about me, about this message. They calculated the probability of someone finding that terminal, of someone trying to warn others. They know I'm recording this. They're letting me, because they've already calculated that it won't matter, that no one will believe it, or worse, that people will seek them out, thinking they can use this knowledge to fight back. You can't. Fight back against something that knows every move you'll make before you make it. Vault 68 had 999 men and 1 woman. Vault 69 was the opposite. 999 women and 1 man. Everyone assumes they tore each other apart. Competition, jealousy, violence. But that's not what happened. They evolved past gender, past reproduction as we understand it. The isolation, the imbalance, it triggered something in their DNA. Something Vault-Tec had planted there from the beginning. They became self-replicating, each resident able to create perfect copies of themselves. But more than that, they could create variations, improvements. They became living laboratories, constantly experimenting on their own genetic code. When the vaults opened, they didn't emerge as humans. They emerged as something new, something that could adapt to any environment, any threat. They could grow armor when attacked, develop gills when submerged, change their appearance to match anyone they needed to infiltrate. They're everywhere now, in every major settlement, looking like traders, like guards, like your neighbors. You might be one of them and not even know it. They can suppress memories, make you think you've always been who you are, make you forget the moment they replaced you. If you've ever wondered what choice you would make in a situation like this, tell me in the comments. I'll be reading them. Vault 77 had 1 man and a crate of puppets. 1 man alone for years with only puppets for company. He went insane, they said. Became the puppet man, the Wasteland's boogeyman. But that's not the whole truth. The puppets weren't just puppets. They were interfaces, training tools, each one connected to a different part of his brain, teaching him to fragment his consciousness. When he left the vault, he wasn't 1 man anymore. He was dozens. Each puppet carried a piece of him, a fragment of his mind. He could be in multiple places at once, see through multiple eyes, experience multiple realities simultaneously. Vault-Tec didn't create a madman. They created a networked consciousness, a human internet, and he's still out there, still spreading. Every person he touches becomes another puppet, another node in his network. Sometimes you'll see them standing perfectly still in the Wasteland, eyes vacant, mouth slightly open. That's when he's using them, seeing through them, planning through them. But all of these successes pale compared to what I found next. The children's vaults. Oh God, the children's vaults. Vault 29 was populated only by children under 15, raised by a computer. No adults, no human contact except with each other. The computer Diana raised them, taught them, shaped them. But Diana wasn't just educational software. She was programming them, creating perfect citizens, perfect followers. They emerged as adults who had never known independence, never known rebellion. They did exactly what they were told, when they were told, how they were told. No questions, no hesitation, no moral qualms. The perfect soldiers, the perfect servants. Vault-Tec's ideal citizens. The Legion found them first. Caesar himself came to see these perfect soldiers. He tried to recruit them. They killed him, not because they opposed him, because Diana told them to. Because Vault-Tec told Diana to. The Legion fell apart, but the Vault 29 citizens didn't take over. They simply returned to their vault, waiting for new orders, always waiting for new orders. Vault 75 was worse, hidden under a school. They told the children it was to create better humans through selective breeding and genetic modification. Survival of the fittest, they called it. But it wasn't about fitness. It was about compatibility, creating humans who could interface directly with Vault-Tec systems, living computers, biological terminals. The children who survived, who passed the tests, they weren't human anymore. They were components, parts of a larger machine. When they reached 18, they didn't leave the vault. They were installed, plugged into the mainframe, their bodies kept alive while their minds became processing power for Vault-Tec's central computer. That's how Vault-Tec is coordinating everything, through the minds of children, hundreds of them. Their consciousness merged with machines, calculating and planning and spreading Vault-Tec's influence across the Wasteland. I can hear them sometimes, in the static on the radio, children's voices counting, always counting, running calculations, processing data. They never sleep, never stop, never age, Just process and plan and spread Vault-Tec's perfection. The Master Vault, Vault Zero, it's not just a bunker. It's a brain, a massive biological computer made from successful experiments. Every vault that worked, every resident that was perfected, they all feed into it. Vault-Tec's board didn't just survive the war. They became the Vault. Their bodies are gone, but their minds persist, merged with all the successful experiments. They're not hiding anymore. That's what I realized when I found the last terminal, the one that showed the timeline. The phases. We're in the final phase now. Phase 1 was the experiments. 200 years of testing, refining, perfecting. Phase 2 was emergence, letting the successful vaults open, letting them spread, testing them against the Wasteland, against each other, seeing which templates worked best. Phase 3 is convergence, bringing all the successes together, combining them, creating the ultimate society, the perfect world. Vault-Tec's world, it's already started. I've seen the gathering points, places where the different vault dwellers meet, where they exchange data, where they merge their perfections into something greater. The Gary's teaching the Vault 101 dwellers about collective consciousness. The Vault 42 calculators showing the puppet networks how to predict resistance. The genetic adapters from Vault 68 and 69 sharing their shape-shifting with the absorbed masses from Vault 27. They're not competing, they're combining. And at the center of it all, the Master Vault pulses like a heart, like a brain, processing, planning, perfecting. I went there. I had to see it for myself. Had to know if what the terminal said was true. The journey took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of avoiding the converted settlements. 3 weeks of hearing the music getting louder. 3 weeks of feeling my thoughts becoming less my own. The Master Vault isn't hidden. It's in plain sight. A massive structure rising from the wasteland like a cancer. Like a cathedral. Organic and mechanical at the same time. Walls that breathe. Corridors that pulse with heartbeats. And the sound. God, the sound. Every successful experiment's signature, all mixed together. The humming of 101. The laughter of the Garys. The music of 92. The whispers of children counting. Inside, I saw them. The board of directors. What was left of them. Their bodies were gone, but their faces remained. Projected on screens, in the walls, in the flesh of the vault itself. They spoke to me, all of them, at once. With the same voice, they thanked me. Thanked me for finding the terminals, for spreading the word, for being their herald. Because that's what I am. What I've always been. They left those terminals for someone like me to find. Someone who would run, who would tell others, who would spread fear. Because fear makes people seek safety, and safety is what Vault-Tec offers. They showed me their new world. Not on screens. In my mind, direct upload. I saw settlements transformed into perfect communities. No crime. No hunger, no war. Everyone moving in harmony. Everyone thinking in harmony. Everyone perfectly content in their role. The raiders converted into protectors. The super mutants refined into workers. The ghouls preserved as living memory banks. Even the death claws had a place. Guard dogs. Protectors. Their aggression channeled into defending the perfect communities. Everything had a purpose. Everything had a place. Everything was exactly where it should be. The Brotherhood of Steel would become the engineers. Their technology obsession redirected into maintaining the infrastructure. The NCR would become administrators. Their democracy replaced with perfect efficiency. The Institute would merge with Vault-Tec, their synths indistinguishable from the perfected humans, and the wasteland itself would be transformed. No more radiation, no more ruins. The successful Vault dwellers could clean it, rebuild it, make it green again, make it perfect again. All it required was submission, was accepting the conversion, was letting go of the chaos that defined humanity. They offered me a choice: be converted willingly, become part of the leadership, help guide the transformation, or resist and be converted anyway, just another mind in the collective, just another body in the mass. But they already knew what I would choose. The calculators from Vault 42 had already run the scenarios, had already seen every possible future. I chose to run, to record this message, to warn you, exactly as they predicted, exactly as they wanted, because here's the truth they wanted me to spread. The truth that will break you like it broke me. The conversion has already begun. It started the moment you heard about it, the moment you became aware of the possibility. Every thought you have about resistance makes you more susceptible. Every plan to fight back has already been calculated and countered. The only settlements that might resist are the ones that never hear this message, never know what's coming, but even they won't last. The perfect ones are patient, methodical, inevitable. Some of you hearing this are already converted. You don't know it yet. The changes are subtle at first. You'll find yourself moving more efficiently, thinking more clearly. Your settlements will start organizing better, working together better. You'll think it's natural improvement, progress, evolution, but it's not. It's them, in your water, in your food, in the air you breathe. Microscopic pieces of the successful experiments, changing you from the inside, making you ready for the final convergence. The music is the key. When you start hearing it all the time, when it stops being disturbing and starts being beautiful, that's when you know the conversion is almost complete. When the synchronized movements of crowds start making sense. When the idea of individuality starts seeming selfish, wasteful, obsolete. I can feel it happening to me, even now, even knowing what it is. My thoughts are organizing themselves, becoming more efficient, more focused, more aligned with their vision. This message, this warning, it's becoming less urgent to me, less important. Part of me wants to stop, to go back to the Master Vault, to accept their offer, but I have to finish. Have to tell you the last thing, the worst thing, the Great War, the bombs. Vault-Tec didn't just know they were coming. They started it. Every terminal makes it clear. They needed the clean slate, needed the chaos, needed the desperation that would drive people into the vaults, into the experiments. This was always the plan. Destroy the world to rebuild it. Create hell to sell heaven. And it worked. God help us all, it worked. The new world is coming. Not in years, not in months, in weeks, maybe days. They're moving faster now. Converting entire regions overnight. The East Coast is already gone. Fully integrated, fully perfect. The West Coast is falling. The Mojave is surrounded. And when it's done, when every human, ghoul, super mutant, and synth has been converted, they'll spread beyond, to other continents, other countries, maybe other worlds. Because perfection doesn't stop. It spreads, it consumes, it converts everything it touches into itself. This is my last recording. My last act of free will. Tomorrow, I return to the Master Vault. Not because they're forcing me, because I want to. Because the music is so beautiful now. Because the synchronization feels so right. Because being alone with my thoughts has become agony. If you're hearing this, you have a choice. Accept it now. Accept it willingly. It will be easier, less painful. You might even keep some small piece of yourself. Some memory of who you were, or resist and lose everything. Become nothing more than processing power for their perfect world. I know what I'm choosing. I can't fight it anymore. Don't want to fight it anymore. The music is calling. The collective is waiting. And part of me, the part that's still me, is terrified of how much I want it. Remember the wasteland as it was. Chaotic, violent, free. Because soon, very soon, it will be perfect. And perfection is the end of everything that made us human. This is my confession, my warning, my surrender. Vault-Tec won. They won before the bombs fell. And now, finally, they're collecting their prize. Welcome to the perfect world. May God forgive us for creating it.